Welcome again, my beautiful audience, and this very bright morning, actually, even in Norway, a little bit of sun. Uh, I'm so privileged and honored to host very special guest. I really feel very blessed because this is one of the greatest mind of our century. Now, yes, I'm no, now I'm trying to establish a little bit of an intrigue here. So, welcome to the Diversity is the Game Changer, and our today's episode, which is I title like I hope you like it. My very good friend. Now we will see. Mastering the art of customer experience, the magic of science from Dr. Professor Phil Klaus. Did you like it? Yes.
I like it. I love it.
I love it.
Just
Yes.
like your glasses, I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. I tried. Okay, what should I have? I should be like little bit like professor today and doctor because I'm not professor, but soon probably I'm also doctor. I'm working on that part with my
I
PhD. But
remember that.
it's about you. So today we are joined by an exceptional thought leader who has revolutionized the field of customer experience. Please welcome Mr. Professor Dr. Phil Klaus, a globally recognized expert in customer experience strategy, customer loyalty, and sustainable business growth. Professor Dr. Phil Klaus, a global thought leader in, like I said, strategy and one of the world top scientists. Can you imagine? His influential work has been solidified his position among the world's top two scientists as ranked by Stanford University for 6 years in a row. And I'm sure this year will be the year of number 7 in many years, right?
So
But
we
can
all,
you, because Stanford is like, we know all people know that Stanford is like creme de la creme. If you are there 2%, so, oh my God, I don't know. Oh, we need really, I hope you have great insurance for your brain, right? Because it's so unique. As the chairman of the Phil Klaus Customer Experience Institute and founder of multiple advisory firms, Professor Klaus has redefined the way businesses engage with customers, particularly now ultra high net worth individuals. Did they sound correct?
ultra high net worth individuals.
Amazing. I love because my brain muscle now try to turn on because I'm basically night owl and in the morning I'm in coma. But now with all this beautiful knowledge, so it's trying like, okay, Valeria, I'm waking up. So please welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much for having me. I'm delighted to be part of your podcast, Diversity is the Game Changer. And thank you so very much for your kind introduction. Quite flattery because while I have some accolades, I'm quite humble and modest in my approach. At the end of the day, I'm just somebody who tries to figure out why people do the things they do. And I get paid for it. So it's a pretty good job.
It's amazing, right? Then you feel like if you really every single day can feel your calling or be aligned with your calling and do that, actually allowed to have this freedom, right? It's amazing, really, because can you believe so many people really they don't want what actually they would like to do, and people who knows but can't, right? So oh my God, that's why you see that's why your brain are in that perfectly environment that you can be those 2% and even more yeah in oh my God, create even more beautiful knowledge, which is currency now, right? We live in knowledgeable industry, not industrial but knowledgeable revolution. But before that, before you became this 2%, or already it was there, of course, we are born, but we know we're like expanding, evolving all the time. But I would like to invite us, you and me and all my audience, to the beautiful little boy with his dreams, aspirations, with his imagination, and how he actually was brought up, and maybe his dreams. I don't know what can you say us some special things about little, not
Oh,
professor, not doctor yet, or
no, not
yes, like a
professor
doctor.
yet, not a doctor yet when I was young, but I
Yes.
was born and raised in a rural part of Germany. You know, it was very rural, and Germany in itself is an interesting country, to say the least, because it's dedicated to the brand made in Germany. And when we think about the brand, we think about reliability, quality, engineering, everything that comes with it. But for me, Germany also has a slightly different touch with its rules and regulations.
Okay.
And rules and regulation have a certain point in our life where they serve a very great purpose in order to make our life more manageable, society manageable, and everything that comes with it. But even when I was very young, I was somebody who always asked the famous why questions. So
Wow.
Germans are they do things the way they do because this is the way we do it. And somebody thought about it. It was a good way to do it. And when I saw it, I said, yeah, I can see why you're doing it the way they do. But isn't there a way to think about it differently? Is there a way we can approach it differently? Is there a more appropriate way to do it these days? Because it might be appropriate the way when it was invented 30 years ago, 20 years ago, but today we have a slightly different environment. Shall we adapt to it? And why do we do it in the first place like this? You know, what's the purpose? When do we have this purpose? And Germany, just like a lot of other countries from this region, or Germans don't like to be challenged too much. You know, there's the idea of challenging the way we are thinking, the way we do things, is not always encouraged, to say the least. But it's not unique to Germany. It's probably unique to. It's not unique at all, and happens in a lot of countries. But for me, it was always I ask why and can we do it better. And often I received the replies, oh, it's the way it is, and we do it for 20 years this way, so there's a reason for it. And I always say, yes, I do understand that, but isn't there a way to do it better or to do it differently, or why do we do it this way? And that was never really encouraged. So after a while, I said that might not be the environment where I wanted to be raised, for the lack of a better word, and I looked for other parts of this globe where they're being more open-minded to this kind of thinking or this kind of approach. And I found it, you know, and I also found it in different environments in terms of business, and then later on as a scientist, where this is really encouraged. You know, often we find that when I have a discussion with future managers, existing managers, with my clients, and they start with something, I'm sorry, Professor, but I have to disagree. And I always say, don't be sorry
Yes, it's
for
amazing.
disagree, because only disagreement advances our knowledge. If we agree with everything, we keep the same status quo, we never evolve to something better, sometimes to something worse, but we never evolve. So I said disagreement is great. But more importantly for me, it's like, why do you disagree with me? Tell me why. And then I probably can work on it and can contemplate it, change my thinking, adapt my thinking, or we can find a solution why you're thinking this way, and it might be more appropriate in one context or the other.
And you know, of course, thank you for sharing your beautiful story. And yes, it's true. Like, you know, especially we call it, okay, I made in Soviet. So for me, it was not just not encouraged to ask the question, system, like, you know, and always like our eyes, wise even could be punished, right? Like, you don't ask too many questions. But we know that we call that kids, like, especially when they're 5 years old, we call them like почему, it's why, почемучка, it's why creature, right? Because of course you just, you would have no barriers, filters, you would like to discover the world, you would like to ask everything, and of course you are asking all the time, and then you have this question, okay, yes, like you said, because it's like that, or one day when you grown up you will find out, But how I find out if I'm asking and I never get the answer, right? So for me, I know exactly what you mean, and I've always also been raised being different, challenges all these situations, trying to push and found my boundaries, right? And that's why we are sitting here, exactly, right? Me and you, like, I'm Ukrainian, living now in Norway, and and we speak not your language, not my language, right? Because we dare to be a little bit more. So, and that's why I think it's the beauty of to be different, right? That's why we also, my podcast diversity is the game changer. And especially now, I believe, because I came this 3 days ago from US, and you know what's happening with diversity there now, like backlash. So I think now actually it's even more important to talk about that. But okay, so so I love the idea that you actually decided to be persistent with your whys. Why? That's why you are
Yeah,
here. What you, who you are, and where you are because of who you are. So tell
yeah.
us then the turning point further. How actually, with all your whys, you already like uh, found the way which starts shaping your career, right? What was the sparkle interesting? What, how you evolved, like you mentioned, evolving. Thank you.
Mm. No, it was interesting what you just mentioned about yourself, and I try to apply that with my children. And my
Mhm.
children are always asking me why, and they're challenging things. And I love that about them because I can see that when you embed them and you leave it like they are, that critical, that unique, that direct, and it really is a trait that they want to have, and also for the future. And the same here. My daughter just told me she loves to have me as her dad because I'm somebody who always challenges her too, but who
Mhm.
always exposes her to every possible environment that you can think of, which goes back to your theme of diversity.
Mhm.
And people always refer to it being different. And I don't like that, being different, because being different sounds like you stand out in a way, positive or negative. I
Mhm.
always say to my children, and my son taught me that, he's like, no, they are not different, we are unique. I
Unique.
said, yes, this is what you are. Every single one is as unique as a human being as our fingerprints are. There's
Mhm.
a reason why none of us is equal to the other, because it enriches our life. So also this thrive for perfection. I'm like, I don't understand it, because perfection is boring. Imperfection is what's interesting. Getting back to your question, I
Uh,
clearly could see that I need an environment where I thrive, and I found an environment where people supported me and supported my way of thinking. And the work was based upon challenging environments and business challenges that nobody wanted to touch. And there were things that were crisis management and troubleshooting, which I loved,
mhm.
because it requires a very analytical thinking,
Mhm.
B, lots of emotional intelligence, which
Mhm.
I was fortunate to acquire through my mentors and so on.
Mhm.
But while I was succeeding in business and business and business, it became the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mhm.
So you get very good at something, so people hire you for what you're good at, and you
Mhm.
don't hone your skills anymore, because
Mhm.
no one is challenging you anymore. Everybody looks for you for advice, but no one is challenging you anymore. So
Okay.
people hire you because you have an expertise
Yeah.
that they want, and then they want to hear this expertise and they apply the expertise. But
Mhm.
no one was asking me, oh, is that the best way to do it? Is that the right way to do it? And they're like, no, we hired you because you tell us how to do it.
Mhm.
And then during my MBA, our program director, Professor Malcolm Kirkup, said I should become a scientist. And I
Okay.
was laughing at him, and I said, why should I become a scientist? Come on, let's get real. I want to become CEO of this company. I want to do this. I want to. Then he's like, no, think about it. You're always challenging everything. Everything I present, you challenge. You're the first student that actually make me look at my slides again and see if they make sense, because you're
Wow.
always sitting there and saying, yeah, Malcolm, that sounds fine. However, because I was challenging him, he said, are there some things that you don't like about your managerial work? I said, yes, I don't like that I'm not challenged anymore. I don't like that. How should I put that, Mike? I'm not very appreciative of the fact that I was not a good leader in a way. I was a very great expert, but I was lacking what they call soft skills, because it was always about my expertise. And I said, there's so much more I need to learn. And I saw so many frameworks, concept models from consultants, other companies, workshops, business schools that work, but they only work for a limited amount of time.
Okay.
So they're good for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and then you see the limitations of them. And then you go back and say, okay, what are we going to do now? And they say, oh, you need to upgrade, you need more of this, you need more of that. I'm like, wow. So I've been exposed to a lot of silver bullets to understand there is no silver bullet.
So you found your challenging path anyway, right?
Exactly. So he said, look, you can dedicate 4 years of your life to figure out a question to something that you faced as a manager, and you can find a solution. And all you have to do is dedicate your 4 years to that. And he said, you're not going to make any money. I mean, you get a scholarship, you get some sponsorship, you probably find some clients, but you can focus on solving one thing that you always wanted to solve. And to make a long story short, despite it not being the nicest process to get there for me as a manager, I've been accepted in the business school I wanted to be accepted at. And when I came back to my university and asked our career manager, Kana Witt, what I should do, she looked at me and said, Phil, you already know what you're going to do.
Okay, how old were you then?
I was in Lancaster for a year to do my MBA. And then I was in Cranfield and I did my PhD in advance. So I made it very quickly, because I just had the right partners, the right mentors, the right people who supported me throughout the journey, taught me everything about science, taught me everything about the community, taught me everything about the things that are really important in life. And then in my more mature life, I finally got my calling and understood my calling. And since then, I never looked back.
Since
always,
then, you feel so privileged that you still feel this drill that you're all the time a little bit challenged, because it's with people, right? And with people, like, we evolving, we change, because everything around us change so rapidly, so that it's never ending challenging magical path, which actually then it's so correct, our title. Beautiful story. And for me, when I was preparing for our podcast, I was like, wow, amazing. It's like, actually, it's true. You found something very unique where you can evolve, and we all have to, because we are interact with all these activities and all these domains every single day, but we need so much knowledge. Like, we are not literate at that at all. So that's why, and it's also very diverse. It's very everything you're now expert, and it's really like interconnection between everything. But I would like, of course, you tell us more about your speciality, right? And we talk about already personal journey and what sparked your interest, because you wanted to be more challenged, right? And now it's everything. It's fascinating. It's with human behavior and psychology and decision making and management all together, right? It's amazing. It's amazing recipe. So that's why you can put a little bit of that and try it, and it's a new one, right? So if you're talking about actually, because diversity is the subject of our podcast, and inclusion, of course, right? It's two sisters or two brothers. So, and the role of them in the your personal life or personal approach, and you already mentioned that you don't like this to be different. It's to be unique, right? It's exactly what I'm saying, special uniqueness, because you even use the same metaphor which I'm using, because I like why here we all different, why we should be really equal, and look at biodiversity, right? But if we talk a little bit more specifically about your domain, your profession, and your talent and skills, and what do you think about connection between the role of diversity and inclusion and customer experience?
Let me put it this way. One thing I learned when I joined the academic community, which so kindly and so gently allowed me to be part of it, one thing I understood, there were people from all walks of life, from all different countries, all different backgrounds. And I remember how humble and modest they were, despite all their incredibly achievements and acknowledgements. And I remember my first conversation in my first conference I attended as a PhD student, where I met the good and the great of our science. And I didn't know who they were because they were wearing no name tags. So it was just a cocktail reception. And we talked about their ideas, my ideas, and they were all like, wow, that's cool stuff, that's really great. I said, oh, thank you so very much, but I'm just a PhD student. And I remember them looking at me and they said, it doesn't matter. If you have something to say that's worth listening, we will listen. This is different in our community. And this is something I never encountered before in a community. Managerial communities are all about hierarchy, where you work, when you work, what's your title, what's your car, what's your income, where do you live? And there it was more like, no, you have something to say, we will listen. And there were the gods, the people that I read and thought, oh my God, they are brilliant. The way they put arguments together, and how could they think about that? And they were looking at my presentation, looking to me and saying, this is cool stuff. And I'm like, well, but I was pretty much nobody. I was a PhD student, but there's like, doesn't matter who you are, it matters what you're saying and if it's relevant. So I immediately understood the inclusion and the diversity, and that they loved it, because later on I asked them, what do you love about it? They said, look, some people might say because you have a managerial background, that's a disadvantage in academia to make a career in academia. But we believe because you have a managerial background, you look at the challenges that we have and the things we explore in a completely different way, in a more inclusive way. Because while we are very open-minded in our community, the managerial community is kind of out there. When we have a hard time connecting with them most of the time, while you can combine the both. And that's pretty much where I also find out is my unique value proposition. That as a former manager and as a scientist, I see the good and the bad in both of these communities. And I try to make them talk with each other. I'm very careful with linguistics, even if it's not my first language. And often you hear people say, I talk to. I said, no one wants to be talked to. I want to talk with somebody. Yeah. And there's nothing more inclusive than the academic community, because we don't care where you come from, what you have to say, what religion you are, what values, what color. No one couldn't care less. It's about what can you contribute to advancing our science and our knowledge. And the other thing I love about academia and being a scientist, when you're a consultant, you have something and you protect it.
Yeah.
It's your unique asset that you milk as good as you can and as often as you can to get the greatest value out of it. In academia and science, if I find a solution to a managerial problem, I share it with everybody. I'm like, here you go, go run with it and tell me why it worked and why it didn't work. It's such a completely different approach. And let's be also quite honest. I love that I have the opportunity to talk with managers, boards, CEOs, and future managers in our university on a daily basis. I love that I have an opportunity to talk with these people and hopefully at the end of the day have a positive influence on their life in one way or the other. Just make one of them think about their life, their approach, and the things you mentioned, diversity and inclusion, in a different way. And I get this opportunity on a daily basis. I mean, other people would love to pay for that, and I get paid for it. And I always say that it's good to get all the accolades, because you can see your community appreciates you, people love your work, and that's very rewarding. But at the end of the day, the most rewarding thing for me in that term is when I see our future managers, our former student, our alumni, 3 years down the line, and they say, Professor, I know you were pretty demanding, but the things I learned, they helped me to become a better human being, they helped me in my career, or they helped me in my business. And for this, I'm grateful. And if I hear that, I say, job done,
Yeah. Wow, amazing. And I think that it's actually right, like, in academia and all this research, which I'm now writing methodology, methodology, inductive, deductive, right? So abductive. So
and your philosophy, your epistemological stance.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Then I take away these fancy, glasses, and I have my nerdy glasses after I'm like, okay, and now
There you go.
there you go. But I think because you actually have already mentioned, you came then from managerial branch domain, right, with all this knowledge which we kind of use them in real life, right, and the academia, because usually, yes, like it's kind of bipolarity, like, okay, academia and real life, and people who's just in real life say, what they can know, they just sit protected academia, they don't know what is challenging, what is real life, all that stuff. And people in academia, they're like, oh, all this. So but can you imagine, so you became for them really this amazing gem, which actually like you already been there, and you actually know how they can interact to
I often
fulfill each
feel
other.
I often feel I'm interpreted between the worlds. Because once I got to know both worlds, I could also see that often they talk about the same things, but they're using a different dictionary. Therefore, they don't understand each other. And I remember when I get to meet somebody, I tell them, okay, I'm a scientist. So you believe I tell you things that you already know in a language you can hardly understand. This is the reputation of a scientist. But what I completely missed in my managerial function, what became why I love science, is as managers, we base all our decisions upon our own experiences. Meaning, if we have things that work for us, we say, oh, it worked, we do it again. It worked again, let's do it again. So we base all our decision-making processes on a very limited sample of decisions, very limited. And as long as they do well, let's say 5 times we got it right, then we get it 1 time wrong, we say 5 versus 1, an outlier, let's keep the 5. But we base it upon very limited data that is based upon our own experience, our own pain, our fortunes, our misfortunes, everything that comes with it. So we base it upon our own experiences. But when I became a scientist, all of a sudden, I was in a completely different position. I could then talk with hundreds of managers, and hundreds of managers tell me, this time, these 5 times it works, this time it didn't work, and it didn't work because of that. And all of a sudden, by talking to hundreds, a completely different picture emerged. All of a sudden, I could see there are things they all have in common.
Patterns, yeah.
3 things that always work and 3 things that never work. So all of a sudden, I could see something that is what I call generalizable.
Yeah.
Science is about taking a lot of data and converting it into insights. And these insights we then call theory. But nothing could be more theoretical than building theory upon practice. Because you give a manager a tool that they in their own lifetime, just as I, are never able to access. So we give them experience, expertise, and knowledge that they normally do not have access to. And this completely changed the way how I see the world. I could see, that worked because of X, Y, Z. That didn't work because of X, Y, Z. Because normally, if we make decisions and they don't work out, we don't know why. And when it works out, we also do not know why. We're like, because it worked in the past.
Yeah.
So now I give you the data and the evidence to figure out how you should do it in the first place so you don't have bad experiences. Because one thing I always learned is a smart man or woman learns from their own mistakes. A wise man or woman learns from the mistakes of others. And this is what science is. You don't have to go through the pain. Avoid it. We tell you how.
Yeah, exactly. Because of course, because you have so much data, you can make patterns, you can make analyze. Yes, of course. And for one person, like individual experience, but all of a sudden maybe it's luck or dislike or something. But when you know, then you know, right? That's
exactly. And look, there can be so many different things. You're like, COVID, changes in environment, new president, more competitors, less competitors, new channels. People always find something where they can blame it on. But I say, as a scientist, I move all this noise away and focus on what drives decision-making processes.
Yeah. Exactly. Because, like you have already mentioned beautifully, I like also, it's like you said, smart people and wise people. And sometimes when I talk with my girlfriends, so when they after some dates or something again come in this special situation and they say, my mom, she said, like, okay, smart, thoughtful woman or lady, right? She always know how to find the best solution to go out from the situation. But the wise one, she never get into, right?
Very good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's exactly right. That's it. Because they see the signs.
Exactly. Amazing conversation. And now we've been talking a little bit like, okay, you and me, we know this language by generalizing. But now I would like a little bit more specifically. I went to one of your posts and I would like to quote you because you wrote one of the article and you wrote, 2024 rewrote the rules of luxury. Are you ready for what's next? And you have pointed that the biggest mistake in luxury, believing wealth transfer is just about money. In reality, it's about reimagining entire ecosystem of experience. So your research and engagement revealed a new paradigm that success is no longer about tracking spending. And it was 3 things that you gave us what now actually mean success and luxury. Could you please then explain a little bit more about your fundings?
Okay.
And you also wrote about new type of tourism, right? And new type of luxury. Yes, and I know what it means now. It's not just about money, but of course, with your vocabulary, because it's your findings, can you explain that our audience understand what actually you mean that the biggest mistake in luxury believe that, well, it's about money? What is it about now?
See, it's we are, because I'm in Monaco. You know, you
Ah,
cannot avoid luxury or the luxury club being a
yes.
resident. No, it's very interesting for me to, because when I met my colleague Annalisa Takarina Pauli, we do a lot of research together, and she said, "Yeah, but luxury is completely different." So she's hardcore luxury, craftsmanship, history, heritage, etc., etc. And I'm hardcore customer experience. I said, no, no, no. There are different things that drives behavior. So we said, let's settle this by doing research. And by being in Monaco, we focused on one particular target, which is the ultra high net worth individuals, which are quite present here in Monaco due to the nature of the principality and all the benefits that come with being resident here.
Yeah.
So we started our research out with the super yacht industry, then went into private aviation, fine spirits, art collection, tailor-made service, financial management, wealth management, you name it. We covered it all to find out what makes them think differently. But then we expanded this knowledge that we created there and adapted it to the next generation of ultra high net worth individuals. Because by 2030, only 5 years from now, we'll have the largest shift in wealth from one generation to the other in mankind. So we call it the $1 trillion shift.
Okay.
For example, millennials will have in 5 years 5 times the wealth that they hold today.
Okay.
5 times.
It's because of AI, blockchain, or what? Why?
It's just because wealth moves from one generation to the other. So the generation of the traditional generation will either die away, forgive me, or go in retirement. So their sons and their daughters will inherit the trust, the companies, and everything that comes with it. So we looked at them and their decision-making process, because their decision-making process is clearly different from mine and from the generation before. So they value different things.
Okay.
And by looking at this, when we look at luxury in our generation was all about possession.
Status, yes, status.
Exactly. Very conspicuous consumption, showing things, And the next generation is conscious, but not sustainability. They look for societal impact. It's interesting when we look at some of our research done in philanthropy. This is marvelous, In general, we can make a difference between male and female philanthropy. Male philanthropy, we want to have our name on the business school or on the gallery or on a wing. Women want no names, but they want to make a change for the people. They don't want to be in the foreground. They just want to make a change, a positive societal change for women, for inclusion, for diversity, for embracing diversity. But they don't want to be in the foreground. They don't want their name on it. They just want to make a societal impact person by person. So there's a completely different approach also, female versus male, when you see that. But when we look at luxury, it's the new generation is very conscious consumption, and it's experience versus possession. Exactly. So they don't want to own a super yacht or a private jet, but they want to charter a super yacht and get a private jet when they want it, where they want it, how they want it. Flexibility, time saving, convenience is what drives their behavior. So the new luxury, when you think about the number one currency, in particular for the ultra high net worth individuals and the high net worth individuals, is time.
Time, exactly.
Time is what you should give us. Because when we have time, we then create what we call memorable experiences. I love that about my kids, because we have this conversation all the time. They're like, shall we buy you something or shall we experience something together? And they always said, let's experience something, because when we remember things. We don't remember what were bought for us or we got for Christmas, but the trip, the concert, this together, we remember that. And I said, let's focus on that. So this new generation is particularly experience driven. So the new luxury is about experiencing things rather than possessing it, time savings, societal impact, and real relationships and authenticity. So it's not anymore about showing off and so on. It's more about stealth wealth, quiet luxury and the things that comes with it. It's also mirroring in a way what we had in society. Remember we went up where everything was about me, myself, and I?
Yeah.
And now we are reaching societal friction where it's actually better to be back. And most of the ultra high net worth individuals I talk to, and I now I had conversation with over 350 of them. They rather are in the background. They say, I don't want to show off. I want to do the right thing, and I want to do the right thing, but I also want to have do it in private rather than being outrageous and flamboyant.
Exactly. It's because it's aligned with their values, core values. Then it's the most important. They don't need all this accolade. They don't need to show off. It's not their marketing campaigns. It's not theater. It's
think about luxury traditionally. I mean, when we think about luxury and we think the conglomerates, they have a pyramid. And the pyramid is on the top is the aspirational offering. Then you have luxury, and then you have masstige. The aspirational offering is the one that is the most cost intensive, tailor-made, like a super yacht and everything. There's very little margin there, but it makes people to want to grab at it. Think like the Birkin bag, when people have to go to the store, get an interview and so on. So it's not quite out of reach, but you need to really stretch out to get it. This is aspirational. But this thing sells a lot of keychains and little purses where the margin is. Does it make sense? So,
yes, iceberg.
But if you're a high net worth individual and ultra high net worth individual, you say, aspiration? Are you kidding me? That's not social value to be recognized. I don't need that. I actually want the opposite of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They don't need to show off. Exactly. It's like you don't need valuation from outside the world because you're aligned with your inside world.
Exactly. You know what you are worth. You don't need to show it.
It's just about authenticity, and my next question, because also it's a lot what is changing now, right? Because we came really in AI, this digitalization paradigm, it's everything, but then also kind of dilemma. How do you think that it's undeniable now that more and more we will be driven in this very special society where everything, right? We just wake up and all the time we are in interaction with all gadgets and everything, and many people say that also like social factors, these soft topics like authenticity, we can kind of lose that. But how we can still have this individual approach to the person, and we can keep authenticity when we have so much digitalization and generalization because of this EI, and EI still have a lot of bias, right?
That's interesting because let's stick with luxury as a context. I wrote with a colleague of mine, some people in the luxury industry ask us, how will luxury change? And we said, luxury will change forever. Just look at, currently we have the brick and mortar store as the manifestation, the temple of luxury. Most companies were not embracing e-commerce, luxury companies, because they thought it doesn't give you the right experience, which is ridiculous. Based upon our research, we can highlight that, because if you go online, you look for a different experience than you go offline. And then it's not exclusive enough, which is also an oxymoron, because if I walk in a store with my credit card and can get the stuff, why can I not do it online? Makes no sense whatsoever. So we told them the importance will change. COVID was a wake-up call. Even the companies who didn't have e-commerce all of a sudden realized, damn, we need it. In the future, e-commerce will be the revenue driver. Everything digital will drive revenues. And the way we think about the store will completely change. There will be no more stores as we know it today. There will be no more salespeople. There will be on-demand stylist and style consultancy. There will be no more selling. We will be looking at, for example, your skin, the colors you like, where you live, your agenda, what kind of environment you are in, and we will advise you with completely different skills. You don't need to sell anymore, so you need also people with different skills. You need people who have empathy, listening skills, emotional intelligence, and know the brand better than other ones. They will sit down with you at an appointment or in your home and will talk to you about your style. And it will be very, what we call non-transactional sales. They will advise you, and then you can get the things you want, where you want, when you want, how you want it. That is the future of a luxury store. It's going to be either an advisory, or it's going to be a brand experience, edutainment, where people show you things that you're normally not exposed to. Like an artisan comes in the store and works with you. I saw that when I was in Seoul. I gave there a nice keynote speech for the Dong-A Luxury Forum. And one lady invited us. She introduced me to the artist who does the monograms painted by hand on the handbags. And I talked with her, marvelous. And I said, and it was in the store. The lady does it always in the store. And I said, we do it because people like it. They are interested. They talk with her. And I'm like, this is what we call edutainment.
Edutainment. Wow. I need to make my note. I love. You see my now really my brain muscle. Yes, edutainment. It's amazing.
And these are part, and we help luxury companies to use that. The second thing you mentioned is AI. Now, if you want to know how AI and digital is done, go to the East, not the West. We are like 5 to 7 years behind. I love to work in the East. If it's China, if it's Japan, or my favorite place, Korea. The way their technology is integrated and help your everyday life to make it better, no matter if you're 7 or 77, is amazing. Why we don't have that here, I still don't know it. But once you experience it, and for us as people who travel the world, we not want to go back. AI, the way it's used in the West, is pretty poor. But poor execution doesn't make it a poor idea. If you go in the East and look how it's done, you say, this is how it's done. Let me be quite honest. AI will take over in the next years at least half of all service interactions, if it's done well. Not some chatbot that you find on a website, but if it's done well, it is more reliable, more consistent, more convenient, more empathetic, and has better emotional intelligence than every single human being on this planet. And it costs a fraction of a human being. Therefore, all this transactional and service interaction will be outsourced. Why? For companies, because it's better, it delivers a better experience, and for us as customers, because it delivers a better experience.
Yes, and
exactly, but that will free that people do in luxury the job they should be done in the first place. So now you can focus on non-transactional sales. You can focus on authenticity. You can focus on edutainment. You can focus on building relationships, true relationships with your customers, rather than trying to sell them something. Does it make sense?
Yes, it's like it been in the beginning was internet for people. Now it will be internet of things, right? And then we free so much space for our brain muscles that we can do actually what really expel our uniqueness, right? Instead of routine thing and its security as well. So I agree with you.
I love technology. I mean, people always say, oh, yeah, but people get lazy. I said, no, they're getting smarter. When I did my studies, I went to the library and read, but if somebody would have said to me, you talk to a machine and it gives you the summary of all the knowledge in milliseconds, I would have said, yes, I'll take that. Yes. Yes. But I mean, it's the aim, and this human behavior. People say we need the internet, we need ChatGPT, we need DeepSeek. Now it's what's the newest one, Alfie or whatever the name is. We need that. I'm like, no. What humans always needed was the best, most reliable, most effective, and efficient information to get the information that we need. That's it.
That's it.
And now we just have better tools. That's it.
Information is the most powerful. It's the greatest power, right? Of the world.
Yeah.
Beautiful. My last questions on almost, because we need to wrap up. I see. Diversity we already mentioned so many times, but I would like to go a little bit more specifically for one type of diversity. It's kind of emerging, at least for me. I had no idea. It's again about vocabulary, which is to make more accessible for all people. They can understand what we are talking about, and it's neurodiversity, right? It's like our fingertips are so different, so I now can really more and more advocate that our brain, of course, also so different, and that's why people with, like they call it medical language, like disabilities, which I'm not agree like you. It's for me uniqueness. It's even like my TED talk will be from PhD, no, from OCD, because I'm displaying OCD, neurodivergence, from OCD to PhD, and I already made like special kind of notes that not weakness but uniqueness, not disability but plus ability, not disorder but disorder. And like OCD and ADHD, autism, all this spectrum, right? So, and now it's more and more growing focus on in leadership, innovation, like you said, even special AI and technology. Who made that? No, neurotypic people? No way, right? So what is your opinion? Because there's still a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of stigma, prejudice, discrimination. Those people weird, this. It's still a lot for us to do to build this creative environments. I love the idea that you already in the very beginning of our podcast said, I love this, that it's not different, but it's a bit being unique, right?
Exactly. And uniqueness is great. And I love that. And I remember we wrote back in the days an article where we said it's not a disability. You have an impairment. That's it. But our society designs life in a way that it becomes a disability. It's us not designing life in a way that every single person, no matter who they are, how they are, can live perfectly in our society. So we need to adapt. We cannot say, 9 out of 10 are like this. So what? I have a friend of mine in the wheelchair, and every time we are together on trips or we meet at a conference, we see things when we just say, what were they thinking? And they said, they were not thinking with somebody being in a wheelchair. I said, how? So we wrote a paper about using what we call universal design, because universal design is design that looks in a way that everybody can use things. rather than the majority can be using things. So it's adaptability. And I believe our minds need to adapt. Because I love when there's one of my favorite shows about autism and people with autism on the spectrum finding a job or they're finding love. And I think it's marvelous what we can learn from these people. I worked in a research project with two people who have Asperger's, you know, and we worked on, and they opened my eyes to that they cannot go in a grocery store because the things that we like flesh, music, all these things, a lot of information is exactly the opposite of what they want. And then we talked to a UK chain who then invented quiet hours. So somebody with autism can go in there and it's quiet and it's nice and they can focus on nutritional facts. And we also wrote a paper on that. We say it's like the forgotten brands, because people who are on the autistic spectrum love to have structure.
Yeah.
But once they have structure, they are the most loyal clients you can have. Because they love structure. I'm like, look at it. If you don't want to think about, I always try to find a way that I can convince people to do the right thing without them knowing they're doing the right thing. So if I tell people, include more people, design it for Asperger's, design other things, design for autism, design for diversity, they're like, But if I tell them, look, if you create an app or you close your store up for an hour for this, you get the most loyal customers in the world. They're like, oh yeah, I'm up for that, you know? So sometimes I use Trojan horse approach, so to say. I see that I tell them the benefit for them, and then they realize the benefit for others. But I love these people have such unique abilities and so great that we don't have, because our brain functions differently. We are concluded, they are focused. So if we use them in the best possible way, they deliver results like no one else does. You know, and I just think we need to match them better. You know, we cannot say, okay, 8 out of 10 people do it this way. And I'm like, yeah, what about the other 2?
Yeah, exactly.
And how can we use them and incorporate their unique skills? Because they have skills that not a single of us normal people have. Because their brain is wired so differently and so uniquely that they solve things that we were never capable of solving. So I said, embrace it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I should come and kidnap you next time when some people say to me like, yes, and then really, I said, you know what? Look and listen, and yes, this. If you don't believe when I'm saying that, please, this is a professor and doctor. He put it so, yes, brilliant. Thank you so much. It's like, of course, support for me personally, but also for I hope even if some people can hear us, it will be so supportive, motivation, inspirational for them that they are not weakness, it's uniqueness, and we should thrive. We should really believe and inspire people that every single person is unique voice, exactly like you say, right? And like
everybody has something unique to contribute that we don't have. We just need to learn how to embrace it. I often have future managers here who then, by the way, tell me, that sometimes it's too fast because I'm dyslexic. I'm like, why don't you tell me? You know, there's nothing wrong about that. I'm like, I had a student who learned Mandarin. I'm like, you learned Mandarin with dyslexia. This is incredible. I couldn't learn it if I get beaten to death to it. You know, I have not the capacity. And you do it, even if you have to read it 2 or 3 times. I said, this is a great achievement. This is marvelous, you know, tell people about it. Don't hold back. We have too many stigmas still. But the stigmas, what are they based on? It's about not knowing. It's the unknown. If something is unknown and it's different, most of the people will be distancing. Exactly. Instead of saying, oh, this is cool, tell me more about it.
Exactly. Why? Yeah, this is good. It's a good, yeah. Wow, you made my day, and not just day, many days.
And you
So,
met mine.
oh, thank you so much. I was so happy, and I was present to my kids yesterday. That I will be talking to the really smile, and my kids actually also they have uniqueness because I have adopted them from Ukraine many years ago, and I knew they
Oh,
had.
that's very kind of you.
Thank you so much. They have also special uniqueness. They go to special schools, and I'm always tell them that they are so unique that their world need exactly person like you because everybody other already taken, and you should be yourself. That's the beauty of you in you. So it's how I believe we should create
Yeah.
our society. And last question when we wrap up, because I love that we start with childhood little bit with uplifting and after deep discussion, which is so meaningful to me, and I'm sure for our audience. So I always like to go back to childhood again and to fairy tales. That's why I've purchased this little beauty, pink beauty in Morocco. And we still need magic scientists, science, but magic, we can't live without beauty and magic, right?
No,
So
no, we can't.
beauty, from which fairy tale, right? Yes,
Aladdin.
Aladdin, correct.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit sustainable version because it should help so many people, I hope. So unfortunately it doesn't have place for 3 wishes, but one wish she can. So if I need to put one wish inside from you today, so what that wish would be? It can be small, can be big, can be, gratitude is always should appreciate even the small things in life, right? What we actually should do,
Mm.
all of us, but we have to teach, we have to practice. So what would that wish be from you today?
I would wish that every single person on the planet tries something new and unknown every single day. Something they are not aware of, something they take a different turn, talk to a person that you never talk to, listen to something that you never listen to, and try something new every single day, and it will enrich your life.
Amazing. This is okay. We do it like
Okay.
this, and we seal it. And yes, I am sure this is so great wish. Oh my God. So I
Uh, my kids do it. I tell them every single day we have to try something new. Yeah.
amazing. So thank you. I already tried something new today, at least. Today I met a new person in my life, and I hope we
There you
became
go.
friends for the lifetime. And I really excited one day we can meet each other and and give a hug, because I'm a very tactile person. I'm Ukrainian. We are half Italians in this way, and I think we need all
My
that.
kids are Italian, the half Italians.
Ah, okay, perfect. So because after COVID, I really in still understimulating phase of this because it was not allowed. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for being with me today, being with us. Of course, given like I already mentioned, the most important luxury commodity. It's you already mentioned time. It's time, right? It's this
yeah,
currency. So and thank you our audience that you're giving time to us, and stay tuned please
yeah,
if you have any questions to me and to our guests. So I will be posting in different platforms, and I will be very happy in the future to watch your, because I always know if you share something, I'm always like I can scroll but like, oh, it will be very special because I love the article you wrote about Norwegian flying private jets, oh, Norwegians like
the classic company. Yeah,
they like and I exactly did. I not that often actually repost, but this one I reposted with my comments. That's
yeah. I saw it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, so it's
so I wish
interesting.
you much luck with all your projects and stay challenged, of course, because we need then your brain, which is so unique, so many years in a row that it should be challenged. That's how you still can evolve, right? So thank you so much, and have a beautiful, blissful day. Soon is spring, which
Yeah,
again
yeah,
new rebirth of
yeah.
everything.
My colleague and I, we are now off to the Forbes Travel Summit where we have a presentation at 1400. So that should be fun. Yeah.
Much fun with everything, and that's actually, and thank you so much that you gave me the new food for my brain, edutainment. Now I have one more very cool stuff from you, and
Good.
I yes, thank you for that. So then, and beautiful audience, stay with us. Be not different, but be unique. Dare to do something new every single day. It's actually the most greatest luxury you can actually allow yourself, right? It
And you
doesn't
never know what's going to happen.
exactly, and magic then is on the way. It's true. Just to be open, right? To embrace it.
Yes.
Yes.
Embrace.
Embrace. Thank you. So with the last word from us, me and Dr. Rose, embrace. Bye bye, and thank you for staying with us. Thank you.
Thank you.